Hello everyone, welcome to the Yorkshire Bike Mechanics YouTube channel. My name's Dave K and I hope you're all well. Today we're going to cover off a little bit something controversial. We've got a Cube mountain bike in electric. It's in for a service. I've done a little bit of video on the Magura brake bleed. But one of the things that we noticed when we serviced this bike was the amount of wear on the chain, cassette and front ring. And it's 12-speed Eagle, it's XG 1275, which we all know at this point is not available, okay? We cannot get an XG cassette anywhere on the planet at the minute that I can find. So what I have managed to find is some KCNC cassettes. Now I've had to wait quite a while for them. I've just bought a couple in because although the reviews are quite good, I didn't want to buy a load because I wanted to actually see what they were like. As far as price goes, they're not badly priced. So I thought I'd buy a couple and see how they go, which has come in handy really because this Cube needed an XG cassette. Now the KCNC has 52 on the top, so we might be able to make one work on an NX derailleur, which is set for a 50 tooth, whereas a GX will take a 52 tooth. But this particular one's got NX on it, so we'll try and work around it. So it's a little bit controversial because the derailleur's bent. Okay, it's got a slight bend in it. And we all know, just like the XG cassettes, derailleurs are very, very difficult to find, Eagle derailleurs. I can get an SX one, but they're like made out of rhubarb, and they're not worth putting on in my view. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a workaround, controversial workaround, and I know it's going to probably raise a few comments. I'm not actually saying that you should actually do this. And if you do it, you have to do it on your own responsibility. You can't be blaming me if things go wrong. But it is a way to actually enable you to carry on riding whilst with these GX cassettes and SRAM Eagle stuff's coming back in stock. So let's crack on. So before we go any further, I just want to explain a few things about this particular bike and why we're having to do this. So on servicing, we've discovered that the cassette is worn, the chain is worn and the front ring's worn, okay? Chains I've got in stock. Are we talking, what month are we in? September 2021, which help you understand how difficult things are to get at the moment. So I've got 12-speed chains in, not an issue. The front ring, it's a Bosch motor, okay? I've managed to get a front ring, 36 tooth, direct from Hope. They now make a Bosch Gen 4 chain ring, a retainer ring for the front, so that's not been a problem. The cassette, I've explained, this is a KCNC cassette. It's 52 on the top and 9 on the bottom. Again, with no real reviews about this, but it's either this or nothing. And the derailleur is NX. So NX, a SRAM NX specify maximum tooth on the top is 50. This is 52. But I think we can actually make this work with 52 if we're very, very careful. So all this that we're going to actually do now will help. Well, it's going to help this rider keep on the road, to be honest, because if we're going to have to wait for a cassette and a derailleur, then it's going to be out of action for months. So this is a little bit of a workaround, is this. So when servicing this back end, what I've found is that the derailleur needs replacing because it's slightly bent. Now it's slightly bent inwards, okay, which means that when changing gears on the smaller cogs is fine, but when you start to get up to the top cogs, because the derailleur is at full length, the bend is exaggerated, so the shifting becomes very difficult at the top end. Now we can actually adjust the derailleur so it works great at the top end, but it doesn't work at the bottom end, and vice versa. We can get it to work at the bottom end, but it doesn't work great at the top end. And the only reason that is because this derailleur is slightly bent inwards, okay? Now we can't get a derailleur. There's no way we're going to be able to get a derailleur anywhere on this planet. So the first thing that we need to do, this is a workaround, and I'm not going to advise you do this. It's your responsibility if you do, but it is something that might keep you on the road or on the trails or wherever you want to go. So what we need to do is we need to trick this derailleur into thinking that it's actually straight, okay? And how we do that? With the derailleur hanger we bend, okay? We bend it in the opposite direction that the derailleur is bent in, okay, to compensate for that bend on the derailleur. The derailleur is not in bad condition, to be honest, but it has got some loose joints. It's not about to fail and crash. Okay, it's just the whole thing's just bent a little bit. It's not the hanger's straight. Because I've checked the hanger with the gauge, the hanger is perfectly straight. So with the issue is with the derailleur, I've changed the cable and everything, so there's no restrictions in the cabling. So I know for sure that this is a bent hanger, and I can actually see it. Okay, when I change the gears up, I can see the distance between the chain and the next cog up goes, well, it's scraping on the next cog, and at the bottom it's fine. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to understand how far this derailleur is off. Now I think it's round about 1 millimetre or 2 bent to the inside. So what we need to do is we need to adjust or bend this hanger back this way and to the same amount so the derailleur thinks it's straight. I'll show you what I mean. So what I've done is I've actually taken the derailleur off the hanger and I've put the alignment tool, the Park Tool alignment tool, on the hanger itself. And what I've done is I've actually set it up so, well, I've adjusted this bar so it's actually flush with the rim at the bottom end. You might just be able to see that, I hope you can. Okay, so that bar is actually touching there. So what I've done is, just to let you know that I've actually bent this derailleur in the position that it needs to be in to compensate for the bend. So what I want to show you is I want to show you how much I've had to bend it to trick it into thinking it's straight. I hope this is all making sense. The other thing that I would recommend, by the way, is you buy a new hanger. Before you attempt this, buy a new hanger. This is a cube. Hangers are easy to get. Buy one just in case. But you should always have a hanger anyway. It's a good thing to have, is a spare hanger. So if you can see that at the bottom, it's freely swinging. It's actually just touching the rim there, okay? So if I move it up 90 degrees from the back, it's actually just around about 3 or 4 mil further in on the back than it is on the front. Let me just see if I can focus that, okay? So it's actually about 3 mil further in that way is this hanger tool. Go back to the bottom, it's just touching there. Okay, if I lift it up to the top, we're about 6 mil. See if I can get a picture of that. I'll take a picture and I'll put it on screen. That's at the top. That's at the back. And that's at the bottom. Okay? So what I've done effectively, just to say, I've bent this hanger, but using this tool, what I've actually done is I've got my hand and I've actually forced this hanger alignment tool over at the top to compensate for the bent derailleur. So if I take this hanger tool off now, and we'll put the derailleur back on, I'll put it on and then come back in a second. So I've put the hanger back on, I've put it to the smallest cog on the bottom, and don't forget this hanger is now bent. It's not where it actually should be. If it were where it should be, then this derailleur will not work, okay? So let me change gear, let me show you what it does. So I hope it's in focus, okay? So I'll go up, and as you can see, it's perfect in every gear. Okay, go back down. Okay, now that's perfect shifting. How bizarre is that, really? Who'd have thought that you could actually trick the derailleur into thinking that it's actually straight when it's actually not, it's bent. And we've just done that by simply bending the hanger. But that enables this particular rider to stay on the road because there is no derailleurs about, okay? So I've said we need to order derailleur. When it comes in, it comes in. But for now, this will actually keep him on the road. Now, I'd like to say that I don't recommend that you do this, and if you do it, then you do it at your own responsibility. But it is a bit of a workaround, okay? It's, as a mechanic, it's not something that I would recommend that you do. But we're in funny times in terms of parts. And because this enables to keep this rider on the road, then, I think it's a good thing that we're able to do it. If, for example, that the derailleur were bent more than it is, then I'd probably say we couldn't do it. It is a slight bend. But the problem with 12-speed stuff is any particular bend on a derailleur or a hanger, they don't like, okay? They don't work properly. They like to be just in the right position. If they're not, the shifting's a nightmare. So that's a little bit of a workaround. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments, good or bad, okay? I'm whatever you want to say, you say it. It is controversial. But we're in controversial times, aren't we, in terms of spares and stuff, and there's nothing about. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's just been a really quick video on a little bit of a workaround to a major problem that we've got at the moment. So, toodle pip.